Hey, welcome to the Pitchy podcast. We are your hosts, James
and Stephanie.
Welcome back to a special episode 2 of James and Stephanie's R&B bracket extraordinaire.
That's right.
Of the early or the 90s, early 2000s R&B groups.
Yes.
So Stephanie and I got an inspiration from Stephanie's brother, Phil. Shout out to Phil Washington.
Hey Phil.
Who, please check out his podcast. And Stephanie, tell the Pitchies what his podcast is.
Yes. His podcast is called the Philosophy Sessions Podcast with Phil Washington.
Awesome. Check out Phil's podcast. Phil gave us this incredible inspiration where he took all the gospel groups and artists and created a March Madness NCAA bracket and ran it down to the final artists. So Stephanie and I said, you know what can we do in the meantime, in between time? Because we're waiting for the next season of NBC's The Voice, season 24 to start. What can we do to have a little fun, to reminisce a bit of our youth, and just have a doggone good time? And so we came up with the March Madness or the NCAA brackets of 90s, early 2000s R&B groups. And that is the music of that is very near and dear to mine and Stephanie's heart. That's where we feel like we have expertise in because we played the radios and listened to the CDs and the tapes, because we had tapes.
That's right.
Stephanie incessantly. So without further ado, let's jump right into episode 2. We're going to the bottom half of our quarters. We are jumping back and forth between the two brackets to narrow it down, which we are eventually going to get to an ultimate artist. We're also going to throw a little wrench in it where I'm going to take my bracket, Stephanie's going to take her bracket, and then we're going to switch and take each other's brackets and whittle it down from there. We also had another wrench that we threw in the game of the veto, power of the veto, where one of us, if we didn't necessarily agree with the group that was advancing in the tournament, we would each have the power to veto a choosing of the other person's bracket. And Stephanie came in early and she came in strong. And I'm not mad at her, but she used her one and only veto in that of Tony and Boyz II Men. I chose Tony. Stephanie said, hold my Kool-Aid, because back in the 90s we weren't drinking, y'all. She said, hold my Kool-Aid. I got something to say. And then she overtook me and said, you know what? I got to use this veto because Boyz II Men's got to advance.
That's right.
And I'm not mad at her. So we are moving
anymore.
Not anymore. That knows why I chose Tony.
Yes.
Okay, so we are moving on to the bottom half of first my bracket. Actually, I'm going to Stephanie. I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to have it start with you first, and then we're going to come to me for the bottom half. Stephanie, what you got first?
Okay, first up for me is Blackstreet versus Color Me Badd.
Oh, Stephanie, I love it.
Yes. So starting with Blackstreet. So Blackstreet was headed up by none other than the Teddy Riley.
Yes.
They had albums such as their self-titled album, Another Level, and finally they had the hits such as Don't Leave Me, Before I Let You Go, and and their biggest Come on. Don't even get me started with that.
The 90s, right?
Yes, it was. Absolutely. And then not to mention their biggest hit, which was No Diggity. Like, I can still remember how Shorty get down, good Lord.
Shout out to Bill Withers. That was a Bill Withers hook, y'all.
Yes.
Grandma's hands, y'all.
Yes.
History.
I still remember how prolific that video felt because they used puppets during some of it. And they also had like dancing and whatnot, but it was just so different. It was just so cool. And, you know, the hook is just
Teddy Riley production at its finest,
at
y'all.
its finest. I
At its
like the way
finest.
you work it. No diggity. Got to bag it, a bag it up.
Come
Come
on.
on. Come on. So, you know, we got Blackstreet.
You know what the bop was to the Blackstreet too? That all generations like them, right?
Absolutely.
Our parents
Yes.
bop to them,
Yes.
grandparents bop to them, and us kids
Absolutely.
bop to them. Like it was multi-generational. I think that's what made them so big.
You could definitely play them at the barbecue, and everybody was
Or the wedding,
jamming.
yeah.
Yes, or the wedding.
The song they were dancing to in Soul Food, wasn't it? At the beginning
I
of
think
Soul
so.
Food?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. So then you have Color Me Bad, which was another
the
male group.
memories.
Yes, another male group.
They
There
taught me
was
how
about
to sing, y'all. They taught me how to sing.
come on.
They were some singing fools.
They were. So their albums were Now and Forever, Awakening, and I Want to Sex You Up.
That for me, when you were singing on the previous podcast, she talked about how she used to sneak singing H-Town.
Yes.
This was a song because I was very young. I think 8th grade or 9th grade when this song came out. Mm-hmm. And I just even back then to say the word sex, like made you giggle and blush.
Right.
When you're a prepubescent kid. And and to be able to sing that song, I want to sex you up.
All night.
I just knew I was grown.
So, yes, absolutely.
Years old. I knew I was grown.
Right. So, yes, they had that hit. They had All for Love. They had I Adore Me Amor, which was a beautiful song as well. I have the most hilarious memory of I Want to Sex You Up. So I'm sitting in my grandmother's living room with a couple of my cousins, and I feel like all of the other aunts and uncles were like in the kitchen area. And we are sitting there with the TV on watching the video for I Want to Sex You Up. And it's and I can remember, like, I don't ever remember us getting in trouble, but I can remember sitting there being like, somebody is going to walk in and be like, what are you?
I take off your clothes, I make you feel at home.
I have no idea how we got away with it. My only thought is that all the adults were in the kitchen with their coffee, having their adult time, and they just were glad we were in another room being occupied.
Sorry about that. A lot of people don't know. They actually created 2 versions of that song. Did you know that?
I did not.
Same beat. You might want to check this out, Stephanie. It was the same beat, same song, same hook, same chorus, different lyrics.
Get out of here.
The original version, I think, was "Hey, beautiful lady, I need you tonight." And then they had another version that started with "Come inside, take off your clothes."
That's the one I know.
Like,
that's the one I know.
Song,
yes.
2 totally different verses and 2 totally different melodies of verses.
Yes.
It was so funky how they did it. I love it.
The second one is much more straightforward.
Yeah, I loved. Color Me Bad. They taught, like I said, those boys taught me how to sing. They really
could sing.
Did.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, this was a hard one for me because I have fond memories of both. But because of how big I felt like more of Blackstreet's songs were, "Don't Leave Me," "Before I Let You Go," and "No Diggity." You know, we've already talked about how wide ranging that song was. So for that reason, I am going to pick Blackstreet to move on.
I agree. Color Me Bad was very young for me.
Yes.
Blackstreet was, I was in college, right?
Yes. So, yes.
Again, it was a more mature sound for me. And yeah, they were really singing something, y'all.
Absolutely.
I love Color Me Bad.
Yes.
And for those of you, a lot of people may not know because they were very 90s specific. So a lot of people may not know Color Me Bad. Go out and check out their catalog. It's crazy.
Right.
Because they were some singing fools. They really were.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Stephanie. So my first choice, I'm going to take a slightly different approach with this one. Because I got paired up with Nerd. Which stood for No One Ever Really Dies, which was actually the Neptunes.
Yes.
which consisted of Pharrell Williams, who y'all know from Happy, which was like his
Yes.
biggest song. But
Yes.
Pharrell was in a band, was in a band before he kind of became Pharrell. But Pharrell was also where Babyface and Teddy Riley were the uber producers of R&B music of the 90s. Um, Kind of the Neptunes took over in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
They were everywhere.
Right.
So I'd be remiss if I did not run the Neptunes catalog down because I wasn't too familiar with Nerd's actual music. But I told Stephanie, I said, I got to mention this catalog, kind of like with the
Yeah.
whole Teddy Riley and Blackstreet and all
Right.
that, and Babyface and everybody, like Babyface and Boys to Men, so to
Right.
speak. Stephanie, wait till you hear this list of 90s, and I'm just talking 90s, early 2000s with Neptune. I can go past that, past 2005, but I'm not. I'm going to stay where we need to stay.
Right.
Their contributions, You Don't Have to Call, Usher,
Oh, yes.
Rock Your Body. So JT's whole first album, okay?
All
Justify.
of it. All
So
of it.
Rock Your Body, Senorita, Like I Love You, um, Khaleesi's biggest monster hit of all time, Milkshake,
Milkshake.
was Neptune's. Um, uh, Jay-Z, so they also in hip hop. So I just want to
Yes.
love you. Give it to me.
I just want to love you.
Give me that. I'm gonna stop right there. This is a PG-13 show.
That's right.
Work It Out,
Yes.
Beyonce,
Yes. Yes.
which was I think the Austin Powers song.
Yes.
Probably one of the biggest hits of Gwen Stefani, Holla Back Girl.
Holla Back Girl. Yes.
And then Snoop's probably biggest hit, Drop It Like a Tom. But here's the one I want to throw at you that I bet you did not know that Neptunes wrote, Stephanie, and this one blew my mind.
Okay.
Take it back to shades of the first podcast we did with the top half bracket.
Mm-hmm.
The Neptunes produced SWV's Use Your Heart. I knew. I was waiting to give you that. I was waiting to give you that. And think of the song, Stephanie. Think of the song. And that is so Neptunes. It's so them. It's so Pharrell, right? That was their song, Use Your Heart. So they were in the game from the early 90s, y'all.
If you watched the first episode of this tournament, you will see that I had a reaction to that song then because I had forgotten about it. I really need to listen to this song because I need to tap into why this song makes me melt because there is something there's something about that song that just makes me. I must have been in a place in my life.
That was their
Oh,
song.
I love that. That's shocking. That's shocking.
That was like 93. Right?
Yes, that's shocking.
93. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're going to put Nerd or the Neptunes up against a group that a lot of people don't know about, but they were huge. So big that they were in a Michael Jackson video.
Right.
In the early 90s. And that is Michael Bivins, who was of Belle Biv DeVoe fame and New Edition fame. He became kind of an Uber, like a mini Uber producer.
Yes.
But Michael Bivins is who discovered Boys to Men, you all. So just to show you how big Michael Bivins was.
Right.
But his first group was he wanted another New Edition type group, which was one of the biggest R&B groups of the 80s. He wanted another group in ABC or Another Bad Creation. And there were these brothers. They were really young. Some of them as young as I think 9 and 10. But they were so talented. And they had a bop, y'all. It was syrupy, it was sappy R&B, but they had a bop in Aisha.
Yes.
Aisha.
Yes. Yes.
I think the youngest ones probably may have been close to your age, Stephanie, because they were young.
They were young, yes.
They were
Yes.
I think all brothers, and they all
Yeah.
were in range from probably 15 all the way down to like 8 or 9.
8. Yeah. Right. Right.
And what I didn't know about them is that, did you know that Boys to Men, before they were Boys to Men, sang the hook? Think of the Aisha, like think of the background vocals on that. Like, go back and listen to that song. Listen to the layering of that one part.
Okay.
You hear Boys to Men all through it.
Okay.
Michael Bivins used Boys to Men to sing that Aisha hook.
Got it.
And then the fun song at the playground. Remember
Yes.
at the
Yes. Yes. Yes.
ground.
Yeah.
They were huge, y'all. When I was in middle school, this was, I can't think of a bigger young child R&B group.
Right.
They were, at the time, it's almost as big as the Jackson 5 when they were out for
Right.
the few short years that they were out.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I gotta have Nerd win this one. I mean, hands down, I'm sorry. When you got Slave for You, You Don't Have to Call is who I wanted to feature because that's my favorite Usher song.
Ooh, yes.
Of the early 2000s, because Usher has his iterations.
Yes,
Like,
he
you
does.
can go way past the early 2000s and keep going with Usher. And then we
Absolutely.
go late 90s Usher too. Like, it's just crazy. But yeah, You Don't Have to
Absolutely.
Call, because I know for a fact, my brother said there is an obscure recording out there of Pharrell singing You Don't Have to Call, because he wrote that song like in 94.
Wow.
Years before that song came out. So
Yeah.
You call some Nerd. I'm going Nerd. Nerd's got to go on. You agree, Stephanie?
I agree.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I have
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Who you got, Stephanie?
So next up for me is Belle Biv DeVoe versus
Mike Bivins. We just went
yes,
there to see.
we did versus Ghost Town DJs. So let's start with Belle Biv DeVoe. This is an iteration of New Edition. They had the albums of BBD, Poison, Hootie Mac. Can you explain? Do you know what is Hootie Mac? I'm not familiar. I know it was a song on that album as well.
I don't remember what the colloquialism was of the day.
Okay. We'll just leave it there then.
I might have to Urban Dictionary that one. Steph.
Yes. I was what is that?
While you're talking, let me see if I can find what
Okay. They had the singles such as Do Me, When Will I See You, Smile, and their biggest of biggest hits, which is Poison. Poison you will hear in any bar, any club, anywhere to this day.
Yeah.
I can remember in my old going out club days back in college, club, Poison came on and it was a wrap. Yeah. I believe that you played Poison at your wedding, James. I feel like I was trying to do the Running Man to Poison at your wedding. That was by far their biggest hit. So, you know,
he was trying to do that thing at the end. How
many tried, many failed. Many failed. Moving down to Ghost Town DJs, it was interesting to me because I was like, what was their song? And when I got to their song, because they only had one song. This group only had one song. And it was funny because I was like, well, I thought that they had two. I could have sworn up and down that they had two. So their major hit was My Boo. Yeah. And My Boo made a resurgence around COVID time. They began a TikTok dance that featured My Boo. So that brought it all the way full circle. But I can remember singing My Boo. Like me and my cousins sitting around. At night, I think of you. I want to be here. And it was so funny because that song is so rangy. The song is rangy because you're up there and then it's like, when your game is on, give me a call, boo. That was my jam. Okay. And it still is. When it came back around, I was like, what are we doing? Why is this back? I'm so happy it's back. So what I was confused about was that the song that I was thinking about was "Come on, Ride the Train
Yeah,
and
no,
Ride It." That was Quad City DJs.
City
That was
DJ.
that was another group of DJs. I remember using the train to line my kids up in kindergarten when we would have to go into the hallway and line up to go to the bathroom.
That was so just.
Yes, I would turn it on and they would line up at the back of the classroom to head to lunch or to head to special.
Right.
Come on, ride the train. We had so much fun with that. But that was not Ghost Town DJs. They only had their major single, which was My Boo. So I had a bit of a time trying to figure out what I was going to do, because more of my affinity, I had a conundrum, because more of my affinity was more for New Edition rather than for Belle Biv DeVoe.
Right.
That's where my affections lie. And Poison is such a big hit, but so is My Boo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to go with the underdog.
Really?
I had to go with the group that only had one single, because it was my jam for years.
Cinderella story. It's a strong single. That song was huge.
It was huge back then, and it's
with the
known.
Yeah,
it made that resurgence back recently. So for those reasons, I have to pick the Ghost Town DJs for their single, My Boo. At night, I think of you. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right, I can't argue. I gotta say,
okay.
I would have used the veto because I love Belle Biv DeVoe, but I gotta save it. I got to save it.
Okay.
All right, so my next group is two of the lesser known but all male groups. I am getting the all male groups there.
Yeah.
Of the 90s, and that is Troop and Shai.
Yes.
So Troop was like, they were the epitome of the whole New Jack Swing era that I talked about on the previous podcast, like the whole Teddy Riley music. There was another huge producer, and he actually was an artist too. One of my favorite songs of the late 80s, and this artist named Chucky Booker, who was a huge Uber producer. So Chucky Booker wrote Troop's two biggest songs. So technically, Troop's biggest song was a song called Spread My Wings. But technically, that was 89 when that song came out.
Okay.
But then Troop did a song, a throwback song that no one knew who originally did the song until many years later. All I Do Is Think of You. Was a song that Troop did, and no one knew who the original artist was. People did some digging, and this was on one of the Jackson 5's B-sides.
Oh, wow.
Jackson 5, you gotta hear the Jackson 5's version of this song.
Okay.
I can't wait to get to school each day. Hey, come on. I love me some Troop. But yeah, Troop was those were their two big hits.
Okay.
But then, because I'm a DMV dude through and through, when this next group came on the scene, another hometown pride, because I claim both Baltimore, because I grew up in this town halfway between the city of Baltimore and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And these gentlemen went to Howard University in Washington, D.C. when they were discovered, and that was the group called Shai.
Yes.
Shai was gigantic. In fact, I believe their biggest hit was number one on the pop charts.
Okay.
If I Ever Fall in Love. And they started out, these dudes sung some serious harmonies.
Yes, they did.
What was the group that you talked about in your previous bracket?
Color Me Bad?
Color Me Bad. Like harmonies this tight. When they came with a ooh, a shadow do do, and they layered it, they stacked those harmonies. Stephanie, taking Stephanie back, y'all. On the very first, oh gosh, I can't do it.
And if I
saw your brown eyes, I'm singing. Lips said hello, and it was just everything. But
they literally could have stopped with the shoo doo doo doo. Like that could have been the whole song.
Yeah,
that could have been the whole song.
It could have. But they hollowed it down.
They did.
Then they came out with a lesser known song, and this is the song. So Shai's my winner. This is the lesser known of Troop and Shai. This is the lesser known song of Shai, but this is my favorite Shai song. It's called Comforter. I sung the song for Stephanie before. I was like, oh, Stephanie, you remember that song that Shai did called Comforter? Lay down and tell me what's on your mind. I will
Come
be
on.
And then they had another huge song, and baby, I'm yours.
Yes. Yes.
Me.
Yes. Remember we were talking about how they were featured on Family Matters, the show way back in the day on what was it called on ABC?
Urkel, y'all remember?
Yes,
Urkel.
Yes, they were
of that generation. Everybody knows Urkel.
Yes, yes. They were featured on that show, which was a big deal because they were huge. That show was huge back in the day.
If I ever fall in love, that could stack up today, y'all. Stephanie.
Absolutely.
You saw Stephanie. She crossed her hands over her face, with that shadow.
Yes.
So Shai over Troop, absolutely.
No issues there.
No issues
at all.
What you got, Steph?
Okay, this is my last one, and this is one of my most difficult for a couple of reasons.
Is it, Steph? I haven't looked. Oh,
Jagged Edge against.
No.
I know. Jagged Edge against Destiny's Child. What to do? I know.
This has no chill, Stephanie.
I know. This one hurt my heart. So Jagged Edge was a prolific group in the late 90s, early 2000s. They had their albums Jagged Little Thrill, A Jagged Era, J.E. Heartbreak Hotel. I think that's what it's called. Heartbreak.
Were they one of Jermaine?
No.
They're one of Jermaine Dupri's groups.
I believe so.
Always, it's so funny. When Jagged Edge came out, I would always intertwine them with 112, right? They both came out of Atlanta. I think they were both Jermaine Dupri.
Yes.
I would always, Jagged Edge was definitely Jagged Edge.
And Jagged Edge was a little bit more jagged, if you will, than 112. Right? Yeah, the Twins. Oh my gosh, I can hear their voice now. Some of their biggest hits were Gotta Be, I Gotta Be the One. Oh, Jesus. Promise. Jesus. Promise.
That's your era right there, Stephanie.
That just pierced my heart. Promise, Walk Out of Heaven. Their biggest, however, was Let's Get Married. So Let's Get Married started as a ballad, a beautiful ballad, and then they took it and remixed it and made it a wedding bop. So I actually had, I believe it was family that walked down the aisle to to the slow version of Let's Get Married. And then, and then exited the wedding doing the sped up version. I've done it all. So good. So good. I feel like their singles and their albums had lasting power. Whenever they put out a single, it would stick. Yes. It would stick for a minute, and then they would come out with something else. It was like, oh, we get to marinate in this one, and then they would come out with something else, and we could marinate in that one. So Jagged Edge was one of the bigger of the male R&B groups of the day. But then we got Destiny's Child. Do I even have to explain? Do I even have to talk?
Took the torch right over from En Vogue, right?
Yes. So we have V. Kelly Rowland, we have V. Michelle Williams, and then we have Beyonce. Single name.
And you can't forget about Latavia
and Toya.
The original Toya.
Yes, the originals, absolutely. Because
they hit that Destiny's Child when they were 4 hit as hard as they hit.
Because their 2 big singles, I believe, when it was the 4 of them, was that No Part 2 with Wyclef.
Oh,
Okay, this is
it was almost like in Vogue, right?
yes,
When that
yes,
beat dropped, when that Wyclef Jean beat dropped, because
yes,
Wyclef remixed it, y'all, and it was over. And
yes.
they kind of, in my opinion, they owe their career to Beyonce.
No, 1000%, because you noticed that I said their first hit was No
It
No
was
No
just
Part
another
2.
R&B girl group.
They were the
I kept
first.
got a hold of No, because it was a slow. I think it
It
was
was slow. It was like a ballady,
slow.
just type. Yes, it was very
Mhm.
slow. And he took this is the remix, and it was
Kids,
like,
like 16, Steph.
yes, they were. Yes, they were.
They're just a year older than somebody.
Me, absolutely. Beyonce,
Hey,
yeah,
yeah.
40,
You
40, baby.
were right there. You were right there with them. Like these
I
girls were your age, Stephanie. So this was
1000%.
when 97, when that dropped,
Yes, I
y'all
dropped with
were
them.
16 years old. You grown. Or
Yes.
thought you were grown, right?
Yeah, I thought I was grown. Jesus.
Woo!
So they had No. They had Jumpin'. I believe it was still before them for that song.
Okay, Candy Burris' hit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Bills.
Bills.
That was my jam. That was my jam.
Say my name.
Out his friends.
Yes. Oh, the beat. The beats to those songs were so, oh my goodness. It was so different. The way that they were singing.
Yeah, their sophomore album was it. It was everything.
Yeah, the way that they were singing, their melodic choices were so unique and so different and so specific to them that you knew it was Destiny's Child based on how they were singing the lyrics that they were singing.
Little girl singing lead.
Yes.
Who
you
became,
know.
Here we are in 2023, and we're speaking of someone who has the biggest tour of the summer.
Yes.
Next to Taylor Swift and Sharon.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
She's over 40.
And she's over 40. No, she's like 41. Yes. She's like 41. Yeah, she's 41.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have Say My Name. Come on. What is up with this? To the truth, who you with? Like, not only, and the cool thing about this era too, James, is that it wasn't just the music. It was the videos. Videos meant so much, and videos helped to tell the story. So when you see us,
MTV's height.
Yes. So when you see us doing all these movements, it's because the videos are so deep into our soul, just as much as the music is. Then they come out with Bootylicious and Survivor and Lose My Breath, and the list goes on and on and on.
Do we even need to talk about their cover of Emotions?
We do not need to, because I will be over and done. Okay, it's over and done. Look that up if you have not heard that. You will be slain.
That was I remember that song took on a life of its own around September 11th.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Their various albums, self-titled, The Writings on the Wall, Survivor, Destiny Fulfilled, and let's not forget the 8 Days of Christmas now. Come on the 8th day of Christmas, my baby gave to me. Love it. When them things said my baby gave to me, I was like, I am for it. Yes. So this was a tough one. Because I love me some Jagged Edge. And if it was anybody else, it would probably be easier for me.
Don't make the Hive come after you, Stephanie.
I will not have the Hive come after me. I'm just stating.
They will shut this podcast down.
I know. I am just stating that this is not the easiest of choices. I had to at least think about it a bit. But the more I thought, the more I said, I keep rattling off hit after hit after hit after hit after hit.
It's crazy.
And we are still
another prolific group. Absolutely. We can talk well past the mid 2000s on, right? Even when Beyonce and Kelly went solo, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And Michelle went solo in gospel when they came back together and sang on Michelle's gospel hit. Like,
yes,
it's crazy.
Absolutely.
I was like, you better pick the Childs of Destiny?
I will pick the Childs of Destiny. Yes, it was not a hard decision, but I love Jagged Edge so much that it made me think, it made me ponder. But when my pondering was complete, I did land on Destiny's Child.
Awesome. Awesome. Great choice. All right, so I'm going to jump around a bit. I'm going to jump. We had an extra group in Silk who actually got to buy this round, believe it or not.
They did.
We were shuffling. So Stephanie's going to put Silk up against my last two. And I'm so glad that this is the last one I want to talk about because I have a personal story. In the really popular group named Zhane, pronounced Zhane.
Zhane.
And All for One, which let me start with All for One. All for One, another all-boy group. And this, I believe, David Foster, who was, like the easy listening counterpart of Babyface's R&B,
Right.
like where it was like on the pop side, easy
Right.
listening, soft rock side. Like David Foster is like the producer,
Right.
and because in fact David produced a lot of the Bodyguard album.
Yes.
Where he produced, because this song I believe was originally a country song. He produced their biggest hit in I Swear. I think I looked it up.
Oh, that sounds right.
Weeks at number 1.
And now that you say it, and I don't know if I knew this or remembered this, I can so hear this being a country song.
Oh,
I swear.
By the moon and the stars in the sky. Yeah.
Come on, Bryce Leatherwood. Come on, Bryce Leatherwood.
I can't do it, y'all. My voice is gone. But yeah, I Swear was number 1 for a staggering 11 weeks in the 1993, I believe.
Okay, I'm sorry, James. I just have to say, there is nothing better than your country voice. I love it.
Words till death do us part.
I love when Country James comes out.
Only at night, Steph. Only at night. I love that song. But we put them up against Zhane. Pronounced Zhane.
Zhane.
So here's my Zhane story. You all know that for undergrad, for the first 2 years of undergrad, I went to Temple University, Estabrook College of Music, Conservatoire, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So that's my and Stephanie's Philadelphia connection. Zhane went to Temple University, Estabrook College of Music. They were a little ahead of me, so they were already gone because Hey Mr. DJ came out, I think, when I was still in high school. So they were a few years ahead of me, so I didn't know them, but they had left their legacy. And Stephanie, I'm gonna throw one I'm gonna get even closer for you. One of the singers of Zhane is from Morristown, New Jersey. So I was like, Stephanie, because Stephanie's a Jersey girl. I'm gonna throw it to Stephanie and be like, yeah, these girls weren't just Philly girls. One of them is actually from close to where Stephanie grew up.
Right.
So I had no idea I was going to that school when this song dropped, when Hey Mr. DJ, which is a bop that you could put on today and everybody would, like, the dance floor would just be crowded.
Yes.
Crowded because this song has 30 some odd years later. No, 30, because that song came out in 93. It's just a part of a bop as it is today, as it was.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. DJ. Everybody loved their harmonies. It was simple harmonies. You could emulate. Stephanie, I probably know you and your cousins probably sang some Zhane down.
Thinking we were singing. Yes.
And then they followed it up with Groove Thing. And then one of my favorite songs by Zhane is Sending My Love to Ya. See, Stephanie knows all these songs because she's from Philly, right? Another Philly group. And I will never forget this. I was so proud to say I went to this school because Zhane was at their peak when I entered into
Right.
college. And I remember one of the ladies of Zhane came back because I think she had friends that still were who went to Temple. And it's funny because Boyz II Men even came on campus because they had friends that went to Temple too. Because
Yeah.
again, this Philly connection.
Right.
And they came to the dorms to like visit friends, and like we like lost our mind.
Right.
And
Right.
no one saw them, but just to know that they were at the dorm, and like
Mm-hmm.
all the security guards, because Temple was in the hood, right?
Yeah.
All the security guards like, oh my gosh, Boyz II Men was here. Like Sean from Boyz II Men was here. Wanya was
Right.
here. And Zhane from Zhane was here visiting some
Right.
folks. And that is why I've got to pick Zhane over All for One. Because I was so proud to say I went to the same school as a group that was at the time huge. Hey, Mr. DJ, I think was like number 6 on the pop charts.
Oh,
Like
I'm
it was
sure.
a
Yeah.
huge dance, R&B, and pop song.
That's right.
So Zhane over All for One, which is crazy because I swear was the biggest song of its day.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah, I gotta pick Zhane though.
Okay. No argument for me.
Okay, so no use of James's veto this round, you all, but
no, he did not.
Round 1 is finished. So just to recap, Stephanie, go ahead and recap the bottom brackets for us, Steph.
Oh, hold on. Round 2. Round 2 is finished.
So round 2 is done, you all. Stephanie, I'm going to need you to recap the bottom half of our brackets for the next round. What we got?
Let's take a look. We have for James, we had NERD over Another Bad Creation. We had Shai over Troop, and we had Zhane over All for One.
Well, I'm sticking with.
Yeah, and for me, I had Blackstreet over Color Me Bad. We had Ghost Town DJs pulling the upset over Belle Biv DeVoe, and we have Destiny's Child over Jagged Edge.
I didn't do it. Silk got her bye, y'all. So Silk's going to go up against Zhane in the next round. So Steph, oh my gosh. I don't envy you. I just might have to use a veto if you don't make the right decision. Stephanie, I got a little quick sneak peek of the first 2 groups that you have to pick. I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to save it for the next round. But I don't envy you one bit, sis.
I don't envy me either. I'm stressed already.
Get a little taste this next round, Stephanie.
Yes, I'm a little stressed.
So thank you all for listening to episode 2 of our bonus material in our bracket 90s, early 2000s group tournament of R&B groups. We thank you so much for always tuning in, for being our loyal listeners. And stay tuned for round 3. It only gets more difficult from here. But James and Stephanie will ultimately have a winner in our tournament.
Yes.
Stephanie, tell the Pitchies what they need to hear.
Okay, so don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Pitchy podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be the first to know when we drop a new episode. And you can also check us out on YouTube. Search for The Pitchy Podcast and hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop a new video. And last, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at The Pitchy Podcast for new episode alerts, episode clips, and so much more.
All right, so moving on to the next round.
Yes.
We got some monster groups going up against each other. I do not envy us in one bit, but we got to do what we got to do. Until next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.